Now, if I'm a cell in your liver, how do I get up and go to the kitchen? Or for that sake, how do I get up and go to the bathroom? Because if I eat, I'm going to have to eliminate, aren't I? Because everything virtually on this planet consumes and eliminates. We see that in industry, we see that in plants, we see that in animals, and of course we see that in humans. We don't quite like the elimination side of life. We like to eat. So we like the good side, where everything tastes good and everything looks good and everything's good. But when it comes to eliminating waste, well, we don't like that side too well. But it is a reality for those that are moms and dads. Obviously, when you have a little one, you've got to feed them, but you also have to clean them. Because everything eats and consumes and eliminates byproducts and waste from this. Call it metabolism, call it respiration. It doesn't matter what activity we're talking about. It all yields waste from every part of your body. Matter of fact, 100 trillion cells basically eat, and 100 trillion cells basically eliminate waste, except when you get too far out. And then there's a little of that going on in certain ways. But the human body, again, nothing but cells and two major fluids. The first fluid is the blood of the human body, the kitchen. So you have a lot of body parts being the kitchen. Liver, lungs, heart, gallbladder, pancreas, GI tract, upper particularly, but lower as well, as eliminating digestive waste. So we have a lot of kitchen. Blood, of course, is the main fluid that carries the goodies to the cells, right? So, obviously, cells partake and enjoy of the nutrition and of the goodies, carbon and oxygen being essential, right? And what is carbon? Carbohydrates, sugars. So you have to have a sugar. You must. You cannot starve the human body for a sugar. That was Atkins' philosophy and killed a lot of people. And now another medical doctor is coming out with another high-protein diet. Maybe a little jail time will sit them back and realize you can't tell people lies like this and have them kill themselves from acidosis. You can't do this, and that's what's been going on. The harm to the human body from proteins is unbelievable, and we'll get into that in just a minute. So we've got that kitchen going on. We've got that nutrition going on. We've got that blood flowing to everybody. That's good. We know what happens when blood doesn't flow to cells, do we? Death, right? Because carbon is a sugar. That's essential. That's the gasoline that runs your car, carbon. And then you've got oxygen, and we have our little carburetors right here. So we're bringing in the oxygen. We're mixing it with carbon, yanking out the hydrogen, and now we have what's called ATP, adenosine triphosphate, cellular go-go. Cellular juice, right? Now, anything that eats, obviously, is going to produce waste. Call it metabolitic waste, respiratory waste, I don't care. There's a whole bunch of waste that are produced at the cellular level and also at the parasitic level. We have to realize that even though we have a janitorial service, that's going to yield some byproducts and waste as well. So, how many of you guys out there poop in your kitchen? No? No? How many people poop in their food before they eat it and then kind of sift through that? Well, that's allopathic thinking. Allopathic thinking is that cellular wastes are reabsorbed back into the venous system. Someone made a comment the other day, after they're cleaned, you clean waste. Okay, we'll look at that as we tear through this here. So we know we have to have a way to get rid of waste. We know the idea of putting byproducts, waste into the kitchen is not quite what anybody does. It's not what animals do. Nobody likes to do that. So for me, that theory of where the cellular wastes are reabsorbed back into your venous system, to me, holds no water for several reasons. Some do. There's no question that carbon dioxide can be broken down into water, blah, 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 and that sort of thing. So you do have some chemistry being transmitted, but I can tell you, you can't take most wastes and convert them back to base chemistry. It's impossible. It is not essential. It is not what's going on there. So let's go a little further here about this lymph system, because you must understand this gigantic lymph system. If you want to understand cancer, you have to understand the lymph system, okay? Now, let's look at the body's lymphatic system. Matter of fact, I saw an ad on TV, and it showed a piece of tissue. I don't know what it was, it didn't say. And it saw all the blood cells, and then it saw the blood flowing through, but it showed the second fluid. The second major fluid wasn't flowing so fast. It was moving very slow. What is this second major fluid? That is correct. That is the lymphatic fluids. That is the mucousy fluids. The mucosa is part of that system. This is vital to understand the lymph system and the lymph fluids and the nature of those lymph fluids. Very, very important. So let's stop for a minute and think about this. When you have to go to the bathroom, you certainly go use a toilet. You put your waste in the toilet, at least in these countries, the European countries. These wastes are flushed down into the sewer pipes and then out into a septic tank. Or if you live in a city, the city has a big septic tank somewhere where all your wastes are going into. Now, waste must be broken down, or there's no way you can tolerate the odor and the decay of waste. Toxic. So you must have a way to deal with these. Well, God had that in mind. So he created the bacterium. Now the bacterium is what you always find in a sewer system. Am I not correct? Now, for those of you that understand septic tanks, it might be important for you to understand that that septic tank is full of bacteria, correct? Now, if your septic tank got full and backed up into the house, you could go to the pharmacy and buy a gallon of antibiotics, go out to your septic tank, pour the antibiotics in your septic tank, and that would clean your septic tank right up and you're ready to use it again. Something wrong with that picture? Absolutely. That would not clean the waste out of the septic tank. That's what bacteria is trying to do, is break it down fast enough so the solids will compress, and after a while you will need it cleaned because bacteria can only do so much, and then it'll keep doing their job somewhere else. But this little tank you've got in the yard has had it, and that's enough. Okay. Now, so if we kill the bacteria out of the septic tank, what's still left in the septic tank? That's right, all the waste. This is medical thinking, and I find it probably one of the most stupidest thinking that there is in medical thinking, and that is we kill the bacteria and we leave the waste. You're going to leave the toxic waste in the human body, but you're going to kill the bacteria that's breaking it down? That's insanity. That has led man to these worlds of cancer. If you ask what is the one thing that has led the aggressiveness of forming tumors and creating the damage to cells, it's going to be the use of antibiotics and the stupidity of trying to kill bacteria and forgetting about the waste. That's because medical thinking is predominantly focused on the blood. Get this, the blood is only 25% of the fluid, which we call interstitial fluids, meaning interstitial flowing around the cells. Blood is only 25%. This is why the Mayo brothers, the famous Mayo brothers of the Mayo Clinic fame, made a statement that blood diagnosis is only 25% accurate. Why? Because blood is only 25% of interstitial fluid. What would 75% of your interstitial fluid flowing around every cell in your brain, your liver, your heart, your prostate, your ovaries, your feet, what would that fluid be? You hit it, the lymph fluids. The sewer system in your body is 3 times the size of your blood. That sewer system is your main immune system, by the way. You would never want to mess with your main immune system, would you? Even the blood dumps what it doesn't want into this lymph system. What's the spleen for? Anybody know? So your blood cleans itself into this sewer system. Very important, because your blood can't carry toxins in it, can it? And you stay alive. And we'll get to the big reason why here. So I'm giving you a little bit of a lymphatic discussion on the front of this because I find it difficult to explain what cancer is if you do not understand this lymph system. I'll tell you that right off. So, waste must be picked up at the cellular level. You've got 100 trillion cells and metabolizing and breaking and utilizing chemistry and eliminating waste. These wastes are picked up by the lymphatic capillaries, not the venous capillaries, the lymphatic capillaries, taken through the lymph vessels and off to the body's septic tanks. Your lymph vessels are your septic drain lines. That's your septic lines. That's your PVC sewer pipes in your house. That's what your lymph vessels are. Not too many people talk about your lymph vessels. A little deeper in the body, but anytime you see a cell, you're going to see those two fluids, blood and lymph. Now the lymph is a much thicker fluid than the blood. The blood is a thin fluid because it must move around the body in less than a minute. But the lymph fluid, no way. That is a lipid-based or cholesterol-based, a lipid-based fluid that is much more protective to the cell. Because remember, the body's just a bunch of cells and two major fluids. How many sides to chemistry are there? Then they find a couple of new elements the other day, named them some kind of goofy names, and I think we're up to 123, 126 elements that make up life, matter, or creation. They know there's a lot more elements to find, of course. So we know these elements make up all matter, so we have a lot of chemical compounds with taking all these. It's like a master chemist. Take a little carbon, take a little nitrogen, take a little oxygen, take a little hydrogen and oxygen. We got water, play around with these elements, and we make all this chemistry. Well, man decided to be God for a while, so he started breaking apart all these chemical bonds. In doing that, we now use the word free radical, because now we have chemistry that is very, very gnarly on you. This is bad. We have chemistry, we have no clue. We don't even know what all chemistry is antagonistic to, meaning that when you bring in chemistry in the human body that's not made from nature, it's going to be antagonistic to the chemistry in the human body. Kind of like isolate mercury, and now you not only have a neurotoxin, but you've got something very antagonistic to calcium and who knows what other elements. So you find that we have a tremendous amount of antagonistic chemistry that we have no clue. I'm a biochemist. I've worked with chemistry for years, and I can tell you, I don't even go there anymore. It's not worth it. We don't have the minds. We've been playing in the fields of dreams and not understanding the consequences of doing this. And so that's man, created some neat things, but also created some very bad things. And the species, we're just about to terminate the human species off the planet. If it wasn't for you great moms out there raising your children on raw foods, remembering cells genetically, pulling your babies out of this decay of kidney and adrenals and all these lymphatic problems, if it wasn't for you great moms, the human race would terminate. I think it was Ted Turner and a bunch of scientists. I heard where they were talking about the human race will not exist past 2025, just in time for the Social Security to end. Oh, well. But it's enough to say that the human race is in a major decline. There's a lot of misinformation. We're living longer, thanks to the medical profession. That's a bald-faced lie. Take a look at the obits. The kids are dying right and left. The teenagers are dying. 20-year-olds are dying. 30-year-olds are dying. You never saw 30-year-olds in the oncology ward of a hospital. Go up there now, and you got kid department of the cancer. Everybody's got it. You go up to the cardiac floor, you never saw 30, 40-year-old males, especially any females, and it's loaded now. Don't give me this. This is a bunch of crap that the AMA is shoving down your guys' throat, and it's time you stand up and take note that half of what you're being told isn't even true. So it's time you wake up, because your life can depend upon this knowledge, or knowledge similar to this, and how you save your body, or your body will be terminated, I guarantee you. So, going back to chemistry, of all the compounds and all the elements, how many sides do chemistry have to it? Well, not to get into a long dissertation, there's only two. So there's only two sides to chemistry. There's only two major fluids of the human body and everybody else's cells. How simple can that be? Keep in mind, there's a little bacteria, there's a little microbe activity, there's a little chemistry activity, but if you cut that fat off of there, what is the human body actually? A bunch of cells and two major fluids. One fluid feeds them, one fluid cleans them. So from the cell, all your cell wastes are carried to where? Down the lymph vessels to where?